Russian President Vladimir Putin tells his senior officials he hopes the Ukrainian situation could still be, quote, fixed, at least in front of assembled reporters. Colorado Congressman Cory Gardner will join us to talk about the events in the Ukraine, the new bill he's introducing to loosen Russia's energy stronghold in Europe, and oh yes, his campaign for the U.S. Senate.
My hero, Teddy Roosevelt, used to say, talk softly but carry a big stick. What you're doing is talking strongly and carrying a very small stick.
I guess it's pretty easy to lob those judgments around, but particularly well before the verdict is in on any of them.
Ouch. John Kerry and John McCain exchanging criticisms at a Senate hearing yesterday. Some would say it's a valid political debate, but that didn't stop Chairman Robert Menendez from interjecting and telling the two, quote, I think you've both made your point. Today, in a special segment later in the show, we'll discuss whether it's either party's arguments, if they were valid, and the focus on the state of political discourse in the United States.
And as one confrontation ends, another begins. This time, Attorney General Eric Holder and Congressman Louis Gohmert butt heads when Gohmert asked why the AG failed to provide documents that had been requested by Congress from the Department of Justice. Syndicated columnist and author of the new book, What Works, Cal Thomas will join us to try and help point politicians in the right direction. And we welcome you to Hour 3 of America's Forum, and now there are three of us here.
J.D. Hayworth here, John Bachman, and joining us, Ed Berliner here on our desk. I think J.D. and I can finally take a little break. No, just kidding, you're here. That's when the show gets serious now. No, but a serious topic we got to discuss here. It's great to have you with us, Ed.
John, let us begin with a discussion of gas. Think about that for a moment. Not the type we pump into our vehicles, nor the amount that emanates from the nation's capital on any given day. This would be more the natural kind. Russian President Vladimir Putin is apparently determined to do whatever is necessary to bring Ukraine back into the Soviet fold. And despite those who point to such physical items as tanks and guns to get the job done, Putin is banking heavily on something else that doesn't make for alarming video. It's all about the gas. Natural gas. The saga here begins with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry threatening Russia with further economic sanctions on Tuesday, accusing Russian forces and special agents of being behind what he called the chaos in eastern Ukraine.
Russia's clear and unmistakable involvement in destabilizing and engaging in separatist activities in the east of Ukraine is more than deeply disturbing. No one should be fooled, and believe me, no one is fooled, by what could potentially be a contrived pretext for military intervention, just as we saw in Crimea.
Well, in the back and forth between nations and what are seen as mostly ineffective sanctions, natural gas is on the front burner to become a not-so-silent but potentially game-changing weapon in the fight against Putin's desire to reinvigorate the Soviet bloc. Natural gas production has, for lack of a better term, exploded in Colorado thanks to the controversial method of fracking, creating thousands of jobs in a stressful economic climate. And that gas is a key to giving European nations a decided choice in where to import their energy from. Colorado Representative Cory Gardner has authored a bill that is finally coming to the fore. H.R. 6 would force the Energy Department to clear the astounding backlog of applications to export liquefied natural gas and, in effect, open the tap for American LNG to start heating homes in Europe and slap a distinctive chill on Putin's plans to hold the continent energy hostage. Joining us now is Colorado Representative Cory Gardner. Congressman, we'd like to welcome you to America's Forum. I believe he is with us, yes?
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you here. Let me start things out here by talking about what would seem to be a real no-brainer here. American gas exported to Europe, money flows to American workers and American companies, and Mr. Putin is hit where it most impacts him, right in the wallet. What's the holdup?
You're exactly right. This is an opportunity for America to really flex its position as the world's energy superpower. These are American-created jobs using American energy exported to our allies and friends around the world who desperately need an alternative to Russian monopolies. And so this is a way for the United States to have a win with the economy, creating jobs at home, and a win on the geopolitical front as well, something we don't get to do oftentimes alone or individually, let alone at the same time.
Cory, former Congressman J.D. Hayworth here right now, and as I look at what's going on here and the delay about liquefied natural gas within the confines of our own nation that could become such a powerful economic weapon in this situation, I think back to the debate we had in Congress when I was there about the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and oil we still haven't tapped into. If you guys get the vote on your bill, what is the lag time between getting the authorization and actually getting the liquefied natural gas to those marketplaces in Eastern Europe?
Well, you're looking at certainly a delay into 2015 and perhaps a little bit beyond that if you're talking the specific molecules of natural gas in the form of liquefied natural gas. But it's not necessarily the molecule that will make the impact. What will make the impact, but will make a impact as well, is the signal that the U.S. will send once we approve these permits to export LNGs. We've heard testimony from ambassadors from Hungary, from other nations, who have talked about the signal that will be sent to Europe, to Asia, to the Middle East, to our friends in Ukraine, by the mere fact that the United States passes a bill to approve energy exports of LNG. They will have a more secure, better bargaining position when it comes to their energy security and their energy future. So even though the molecule itself won't be moving until 2015, the fact that the signal will be sent happens the day we pass that legislation, the day it's sent into law, passed into law.
Well, Cory, you're from Colorado. Colorado is a notoriously purple state here, and you're also running for the United States Senate as well. But there's been an initiative from some local Democrats in Colorado, including a guy named Jared Polis, leading the charge for a statewide ballot that would allow local governments to ban fracking in their respective municipalities. How is this playing out for you as a campaign issue and as a environmental issue in the state of Colorado?
Well, look, there are about 100,000 jobs that are dependent indirectly or directly on energy in Colorado. They wouldn't exist without hydraulic fracturing. In fact, $12 billion of our GDP comes from the energy industry. About $1 billion in tax revenue goes to our schools, comes to the state of Colorado. Hydraulic fracturing bans would put 100,000 people out of work, strike $12 billion out of our economy. It's unacceptable. And unfortunately, there are people like Congressman Polis who want to stop that economy, who want to end those jobs. And there are people in the United States Senate like Mark Udall who refuse to take a position in opposition to the hydraulic fracturing bans and are refusing to stand up for those jobs.
Congressman, there's no doubt that you want to be able to drop some kind of a hammer on Putin right away, or at least as fast as you can. So let's look at it from a timeline issue here. From the time the bill passes to the time you can start taking the liquid natural gas, getting it to port, and then getting it to Europe and getting them to wean themselves a little bit off what is a preponderance to Russian natural gas through the pipeline, are we talking 6 months, a year, years? Where are we?
Well, you're talking into 2015 and beyond. But what's important is the signal that U.S. energy is available because they're looking at entering contracts right now with Russian monopolies or other monopolies that may exist that they have to use right now and turn to for energy supplies. And so while the liquefied natural gas may not be able to be shipped right now out of the United States today or at the end of this year, and they may not be able to receive it because they wouldn't have the facility necessarily to receive it at the other end, the fact that they know that U.S. energy is on the way will provide immediate relief, immediate help, and even the secretaries of state's own agencies have said as much.
Cory, you were offering the answer about fracking and the opposition to fracking in Colorado. Yes, you mentioned Congressman Polis, but the name of Senator Mark Udall also came up, not unsurprisingly. You're mounting a campaign to challenge Mark Udall. Let me go to another committee and some of Mr. Udall's conduct. Apparently he's on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and my instincts are that some of this preening over the Democrat Senate report about torture is based on an effort to try and save Mark Udall's Senate seat. That's a tough charge, I know. But do you think he is using that role on the committee to try and set himself up politically for re-election?
Well, you know, I think there's no doubt that they are politicizing some of the activities that have taken place in the Senate over a variety of issues. I think Richard Burr, the senator from Richard Burr from South Carolina, had stated that he is concerned that the reports, information released from the Senate, from certain members of the Senate, may actually have a negative impact on many of our men and women in uniform. And so I think that it's possible that they're looking into that at the committee level about the activities that's taking place on that committee amongst its members.
Cory Gardner, we appreciate the fact that you dealt with policy and Ed's questions about liquefied natural gas, and you went with my instincts on politics and your coming campaign for the United States Senate. As always, it is great to have you Skyping in from Capitol Hill and your office there as a member of the House of Representatives. We appreciate it.
Always good to hear from the congressman that, it's an interesting issue, and, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out politically in Colorado with a lot of environmentalists there, but maybe perhaps leading the way for other conservatives around the country on energy independence in this country.
So what do you think about energy independence? Why don't you let us know? You can tweet us at NewsmaxTV, #AmericasForum.